How's it going, man?
Good, dude. Come on through. Alright, so we're training this morning. So first things first. So it's 6:30 in the morning now. Usually get my weight first thing. So 101.9. I'm trying to gain a bit of weight and muscle at the moment. So each morning I'll just log my weight into a journal on here, and then I'll compare my weekly average weight to the week prior. I'm looking to sort of gain on top of the average somewhere around 100 to 300 grams per week. Something pretty large, something around 1200 calories post-training, like within like 45 minutes after, and that'll be, again, pretty carb heavy meal, keeping fat pretty low, and again that 40 to 50 grams of protein. And then the other three feeds outside of that will usually be pretty similar, around 1,000 calories each. Fat sometimes comes a little bit higher in those meals just because it's outside of the training window, but overall my fat intake's a low percentage of my total calories, just because when you're eating 5,000 calories, it's no trouble getting your essential dietary fats in, or essential fatty acids. So we've got a protein bar there, a bit of fruit, like usually low calorie dense fruit. So that'll be like low calorie dense fruits are rock melon, watermelon, apple, strawberries, basically stuff that don't have a lot of calories per like 100 grams of food weight. And then we've got 2 pieces of toast here, a bit of jam on that. So this will be around about 35 protein, 50-60 carb, about 10 fat. So the bulk of my morning work is mostly checking in on clients. We've got a couple of research studies going on at the uni as well at the moment. We're looking at the physiological and psychological changes that happen on a 7-day diet break. So we've got people coming to the lab on the first, second and third day of the diet break, and then on the 7th day, see if we can plot the time course. I know a lot of people like to use 1 or 2 day refeeds, or like 2 days of maintenance to try and like stimulate the metabolic rate and sort of dissipate some of that diet fatigue, but I'm not convinced that 1 or 2 days of maintenance is enough. So by doing this, by plotting that time course and going up to 7 days, we'll be able to see actually how long it takes to start getting some restoration of these variables. So I'm putting up a blog, one that I wrote for JPS Health and Fitness. It's a really cool study done a couple of years ago. It was actually done at UWA, so the university where I work at. What they investigated was if someone gets choice in the exercise, so gets to choose how hard it is, how long it goes for, even what music they're going to listen to during the session, does that affect their healthy eating and their eating choices after the session, compared to someone who's doesn't get choice in their exercise and just told this is what you're going to have to do, this is how hard it is, this is how long it goes for, blah blah. And what they worked out was that the people who had choice in their exercise, they tended to eat overall less calories at a buffet style meal after the exercise, and they actually made healthier food options. So they went for like the fruits and the veggies and the whole grains at the buffet meal, compared to the guys who sort of didn't get any choice in their exercise. They tended to go for the biscuits and the cookies, those like high calorie dense like junk food options, and their calorie intake at that meal was on average 30% higher. So has good application for especially like trainers who want to have some sort of conversational element with your client to work out what their sort of preferences are, what their likes and dislikes are, to sort of try and cater a program that suits the person. Because if you give them a program that doesn't suit them, that they don't like, there's potential for them to counteract any benefits from the exercise itself by just sort of picking out and making sort of inappropriate food choices after the training. So pretty interesting study. So during training I'll just have 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. Doesn't matter when you take it, just for convenience. I take it during, and I'll usually have somewhere around like 4 milligrams of caffeine per kilo body weight. and that'll usually look like a Bang or a Monster, something like that. So creatine is probably one of the most backed by science supplements out there. Pretty conclusively will increase your high intensity performance and your strength output. So I just take 5 grams a day. I don't load it or anything like that. Take it year round, and that'll maintain like your creatine saturation stores inside the muscle cell, which is where you need it. For anyone that's lifting weights or doing some sort of high intensity activity and want to be a little bit better at it, creatine at 5 grams a day is probably a good call. The reason we've gone with this food releaser is it's super easy to track, and I can just eyeball the portion sizes of this. 2 eggs is super easy to do, and then I'll just send the nutrition to her so she can log it into her database, and she'll know how many what nutrition she has remaining in the day. And then for me, this is pretty standard breakfast meal for me from Monty's in Scarborough. They always look after me, and it gets a pretty decent serve of protein, around 50 grams. I track that at. And then enough carbs for what I need. I usually track this meal around about 850 calories with about 50 protein. It's about 3 hours after that meal. This is probably like my pretty standard lunch. I do cook some stuff up in bulk like every Sunday. My go-tos will basically be rice and chicken. I'm at the end of my batch there. Usually do about 500 grams, which is a fair bit. To get my 40-50 grams of protein, I'll do 150 chicken. grams of kimchi. Add in a bit of pickled ginger. There's like hardly any calories, so I'll just have a bit more. I'll put in apple with that. Apples taste dope, and they're super good for satiety, high in fibre. And then I'll usually have a sugar-free soda with that, just again for satiety, and tastes good. I watch one episode of anime with lunch. I do limit myself to one a day. I'm watching Naruto Shippuden, which is the greatest anime in the history of the world. I'm about 500 episodes in. This is the Naruto here, and Kurama, the nine-tailed fox, his demon.